Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. One of the folks that it's always a pleasure talking with, a good friend of ours, part of the extended gun family, or actually in this case gun royalty, joins us right now. Kippi Leatham, or the wife of Rob Leatham, who's a frequent visitor here. And Kippi, first of all, thank you for being here, and my sympathies for having to put up with Rob for so long.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me. And yes, I appreciate your sincere thoughts there. Yeah, it's rough, I tell ya.
We affectionately called Rob the largest 12-year-old we've ever known. So he's perpetually 12. And that may be giving him too much credit. I don't know.
No, but you know what? That's why he's so entertaining. You know?
Well, it is.
He is really just a joyful and fun person to be around.
Okay, we're going to talk about all the stuff that you're doing. But first, I'm going to give you a chance to brag on your hubby. What's he doing right now?
So he is at his 40th USPSA United States Nationals competition right now. He just began shooting a few moments ago. They're in Talladega, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And he's shooting the low cap nationals in his favorite division, which is, I bet you can guess.
Go ahead.
Single stack.
Yeah.
He loves the 1911 single stack pistol. So
those who don't know, I think
half a dish.
He's won the single stack national championship. Well, I think it's like the first 17 years he won it every year. It's crazy.
I believe it's actually 16. It's hard to keep track.
Okay. I mean, I knew it was this unbelievable streak.
Yes, he's pretty amazing. Don't tell him I said that.
No,
okay?
no, never.
But
never.
Pretty amazing. And
all right. So, but you know who else is really amazing is you, because you are a competitive shooter in your own right, and you've been shooting all over the place, all over the country. I don't know, probably all over the world, and you're doing a lot of instruction these days, I gather.
I am. I retired from my serious competitive shooting career in 2011, and I have traveled all over the world with my endeavors in shooting. It was an amazing experience. I wouldn't change anything about it. And about 2008, before I actually retired, I began teaching. And, wow, that was a learning curve. You know, you go from being kind of totally self-absorbed in yourself. How can I be a better competitor? What can I do to improve my skill set? To changing gears and trying to help others. And I'm a quick learner, so I feel like I caught on pretty quickly. But I really...
Let me ask you a question. I've heard it said that to really learn something, you have to teach it. Did you learn, as you started teaching, learn things that you didn't really realize?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because when you are just the shooter, just the competitor, practicing with your firearms, you don't see a lot of what you're doing and what you're learning. It takes an instructor to be able to see you and tell you what you might not be noticing yourself. And, you know, I was competing before everyone had cameras and phones. And but, yes, I think that's a true statement. I would agree with you there, Tom.
So what kind of teaching are you doing? Is it competition shooting, or are you also teaching like for concealed carry, or is it, who are your students and what are you teaching these days?
Well, I have a business partner, Debbie Keyhart, and we have a business called Her Handgun. We specialize in women, and we actually prefer to work with brand new shooters. That is where we focus. That's what the majority of our business comes from. But we will teach couples, families. We do corporate outings. I will teach anybody, even in competition, up to about an intermediate level. And then I turn them over to Rob after that. So but we love bringing new shooters into the world of firearms.
All right, so you're teaching a lot of the new shooters, and most of them are women by design. what are you hearing from your students of why? Because, I mean, that would be my first question is, okay, why have you decided to go from not being a shooter to being a shooter, to getting a handgun and learning to shoot this? Because that's a pretty big change in your lifestyle and your own self-image, isn't it?
Oh, it's huge. Yes, it is, and it's life-altering. It really is. And we hear a lot of common stories. Mm-hmm. Most of them are watching the news these days, and the world's gone a little crazy, it seems. So most people come, and they want to buy a firearm. They've bought a new firearm for defensive reasons. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know that. You talk guns all day long. You have the best job in the world, but you know that. And we have different, different stories from the ladies. I've been doing this over a decade, and some of the stories are very touching. Unfortunately, some women have had bad encounters, but most of them just want to be preventive and have that firearm as an option. I don't wish that upon anybody to have to use their firearm for a defensive reason, but the other option is not acceptable either.
Yeah, no kid. To be attacked and not have a way to protect yourself is the other one. Then you're saying we're not going to go there. Let me do this. I'm going to take a quick break so we'll have some more time on the other side here. I'm talking with Kippi Leatham. All right, we're talking with Kippi Leatham, obviously the wife of Rob Leatham, but a champion shooter in her own right. Has competed for many, many years, and now doing the instruction we were talking about. And Kippi, you said your company, Handgun.com, I'm going to direct people over there, you primarily are teaching women, and a lot of them are their first time shooting. How do you take somebody from having no background at all and then put a pistol in her hand and then have her shooting and becoming competent?
Yes, it's not an easy task. I really consider myself a patient person. I'm very thorough, but yes, our classes start at the very ground level. Okay. We talk about the responsibilities of firearm ownership, and then we delve into safety, and that's always the most important thing. Mm-hmm. We are freaks about safety, as we should be when we're instructing new gun owners especially. Mm-hmm. But our classes are 4 hours long, and oftentimes the women that come up are feeling they're a little anxious, maybe a little uncertain, a little timid or afraid even sometimes, because a lot of these women have never been around firearms. Okay. Fortunately, information is power, and once they leave our class 4 hours later, 99.9% of them have a huge smile on their face. And obviously, and that's the best part of it. I have goosebumps right now just talking about it because it brings so much joy to see that transformation. But obviously, that's not the end of the journey. That is the beginning of their journey because we encourage them to continue practicing and training. That's their responsibility, especially if they're owning that firearm for defensive reasons. We invite them back to our monthly practice sessions. We hold women-only practice sessions. Rob's constantly trying to get into them, but he just won't wear a skirt. That's the requirement. Besides, wear a skirt if you're going to come to our...
Well, if he does, you get pictures of that for us, okay?
Absolutely.
So, and you're doing this in the Phoenix area, right?
Yes, we are. Our hometown range is in Mesa, Arizona, the Rio Salado Sports Club.
Okay, the Rio Salado, which is a very famous shooting range and shooting club, of course. All right, so when a lady calls you and says, I want to do this, but, my husband gave me this .38 revolver, snubby revolver, after you kind of groan and go, yeah, another one? What do you...
Oh.
I know. What do you recommend? What do you recommend people start out with?
Yeah, so unfortunately, what you just brought up happens more often than you might think. And the husbands mean well, the boyfriends mean well. But for new shooters, whether it's a man or a woman, I suggest starting on a medium to full-size pistol. Mm-hmm. We all know it's just physics. The bigger a gun is, the easier it is to shoot, the more pleasant it is to shoot. And we want new shooters to have a good experience at the range. Mm-hmm. We actually suggest starting on a medium to full-size pistol. And those little guns, they have their place and purpose, right? Oh, yeah. They're awesome for their intended purpose. But because women don't have that experience, they don't know. They think I'm petite, I have small hands, this gun is going to be perfect for me, and then sometimes they can't even pull that double-action trigger, and they just don't know. So I recommend trying to rent a gun or go with a friend who has a variety of guns you can try before you buy.
Right, exactly. All right, so how many students do you like to have in a class?
We limit our class sizes to 8 with 2 instructors. And so at any given time, there's one-on-one instruction, and occasionally we'll have 2 people on the line per instructor, depending on how well they're progressing. So we really give personalized, full-on attention in our courses.
And the reason I ask is that I'm trying to point out to people to think about this. If you go to a class where you have one instructor and 20 people on the line, that instructor, there's physically no way for an instructor to watch that many people and keep the line safe.
No, you have to have additional safety officers, absolutely.
Yep, exactly
Absolutely.
Right. So if you were to say, okay, here's like a couple of tips, maybe 3 tips that you could pass along to people who are wanting to get involved in it. They're new, and we have, 10 million first-time gun owners in the last year. How do you suggest that they start?
Well, again, I suggest that they don't buy a gun if they don't have one yet. That they try to rent one or borrow one and go take a class. Safety is the most important thing. So they've got to learn how to handle a gun safely and properly. We want all new firearms to be good representatives, right, of that Second Amendment right we have. And then actually third, because so many people want to carry concealed, I'm going to take kind of an odd stance here maybe, I don't know, but I don't think you should carry concealed until you've practiced and are proficient and confident and 1,000% sure that you can hit a target at 2 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. So I want them to become proficient and confident before they consider carrying concealed, because as you know, there are a lot of things to consider, a lot of responsibility. So,
actually, I have no problem with that at all. I mean, you have to be competent. You have to, because you're responsible for everything that your bullet does when you fire the gun. And so, reaching a certain level of competency should be a goal for each person, not even if you're new to it. I want to go back to something you said, though. You talked about stressing safety. I had this sudden flash as you're talking. It was kind of like, whoa. It occurs to me that if you're brand new at this, you want to be safe, but you don't actually know what that means or what it takes to handle a gun safely, do you?
No, you don't. And it's surprising. It really is surprising. The trigger guard that surrounds that trigger pretty much says insert finger here, right?
Yes, exactly.
And a lot of people, that's where the finger goes. And you just have to understand and train to keep that finger out of the trigger at all times. Yeah, so that muzzle direction and trigger finger, 2 most important things always, but we want that process to move from the conscious thought to the subconscious, to muscle memory, right? And that takes practice.
It does. And it takes, people will pick it up and they're trying to be safe, and then they turn and they don't realize, okay, if you're going to turn with a gun in your hand, first of all, please don't turn back toward people, but you need to drop that muzzle, point it down. If there are ways to do it, but if no one's ever shown you the ways to do it, you just don't know. I want to pass along something I picked up from our friends at Boondock Academy. They're a real good training facility. It's one of those head slapper deals, okay? And I've been using it. It's a training deal. You talk about keeping your finger out of the trigger guard. And they had one that I'd never heard before. They said, make a finger gun before you pick up the gun. And then keep that finger gun.
That's a great idea.
And then just pick up the gun and go, oh, that's where the finger's supposed to go. I went, that's brilliant. That's so silly and stupid and brilliant. I love it.
It is. And you know when you've finally got it down, when it's moved into muscle memory, when you're at home working on something and you grab that drill or you grab that staple gun and your finger is nice and straight, then it's you've got it finally.
And we've all done it. You pick up your power drill and you got your finger straight off of the trigger on it because that's what you do. That's exactly right. That's just wonderful. Well, Kippi, congratulations on, the instruction and everything you're doing. I mean, I love the whole idea of her handgun. It's a great concept, and I just want to thank you for what you're doing and bringing so many people into this in a safe and competent manner. This is wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Tom. I truly enjoy my job. It's probably the second best job next to yours, I tell you. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it.
Well, mine's easy because I get to talk about it, and I don't have to shoot, so nobody actually knows if I can shoot or not. This is great.
Yeah, I know you can shoot. I've seen it.
Don't tell anybody, okay? Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. We need to get together more often.
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. All right, Kippi Leatham, thank you so much. Her website is herhandgun.com. You can see a lot of information there on their training and what they do there. The whole idea is, I don't know if you call it giving back, paying it forward, or whatever. Bringing people into the shooting sports, or people who have expressed an interest in getting a gun for self-protection, which is different from shooting sports, okay? And Kippi does all of it. I mean, trust me, she's a national champion shooter. She can do it all. But now she's teaching women about shooting and also self-protection and concealed carry and holsters and purses and all the other stuff. It's all there. We need more people doing that. And more specifically, whether you think it should be or shouldn't be, doesn't matter. Women respond well to women instructors, firearms instructors. We need more women firearms instructors. We need more people who will say, yeah, I can do that. I've been shooting for a while. I've been doing competitive shooting, whatever it is. And there are a number of different groups that do it. Well-armed women, girl and a gun. You can look up a number of those and work through those. You can become an instructor through several different programs. I think we enjoy our lives more when we have a purpose. And if you're looking for a purpose, this might be one. So I just throw that out to you that I think we need more women firearms instructors. We could use that. Just a thought.